Alright, welcome everybody. Today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to configure 802.1x on a Linux machine. I'm actually going to be doing it on a Ubuntu machine. I'm not going to be using certificates, I'm going to be using a username and password, which is still 802.1x. I'm going to be using PEEP and MSChat v2. So I'm using Cisco's Identity Services Engine, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to create the username for this Linux machine to use so it could authenticate. I'm going to be authenticating the computer and not a user, but I need to create a user for the computer. This will all make sense. So let's go to Identity Management, go to Identities, and then go to Users. Here you can see I already created a .1x user, but let's create a brand new one. And I will say .1x user 2. Create a password. Okay, and then we scroll down. We could put them in some sort of group, and let's just put them in an employee group. Click submit. All right, there you go. Now I haven't actually created any policy sets on ISE. I kind of just have all the defaults, but with Cisco's default policies, they have a MAB policy and they have an 802.1x policy, and then they have a default authorization policy that just says if you pass authentication, then just permit access. I'm not doing anything crazy like assigning a VLAN, although I could, but I just want to show you that how to configure 802.1x on the Ubuntu machine. So first thing is creating the user, which I just did, and then now let's go to the Ubuntu machine. We go to click up top here. This is where our basically our NIC settings are. What's happening? That's my NIC settings. And it doesn't want to show it. Alright, just a second. Alright, so that was really weird. My little console session with my Ubuntu it's off a little bit, as you can tell. So I was supposed to click here, but as you see, as I scroll over, it's off a little bit, but I want to edit my connections. This is my NIC connection, so I just hit edit, and then choose whatever NIC setting I want, and this will be wired to. Oh no, it's doing it again, isn't it? I'll just use the keyboard. And let's go to oh my gosh, what is happening here? I'd like to go to edit. Alright, just a second, let me fix this. Okay, I just changed my console session. It's really weird. Now everything should be good. Alright, so I double click on my wired connection, and here's my MAC address, D5FD, and then I go to 802.1x settings, and I click enable. For authentication, we're going to be using PEEP, and then we are going to be using MSChat v2. There's no certificates involved, so I'm not trying to install a server certificate so that this client can trust it, but in a production environment, you'd probably want to do something like that. But for right now, I'm just going to say no CA certificate is required. Put in the username, which was .1x underscore user 2, and then put in my password. And then we can give it some IPv4 settings, but I already did. And then now let's hit save. Okay, close, and then let's bounce this port. So it is using the wired 2 connection. If I say disconnect, it disconnected. And then let's reconnect. And if I go into my switch to show authentication sessions, if I do a clear authentication session, remember D5FD is my Ubuntu machine. Let me clear this session ID and watch it come back up. Bounce it, show authentication sessions. Wait for it to start up again. There you go. .1x and look at already authorized. Let's go to ISE and let's view the Radius live logs. You can see here, .1x user 2, it authenticated. It hit the default .1x policy, you can see here, hit the basic authenticated access, and then it was permitted, it was given permitted access. If I click on this authentication report, it'll tell me exactly what rules it hit and all the steps that ISE took to authenticate this user here. Okay? And here's all the information about it. You notice that ISE profiled that device and was like, that's a VMware device. It's because I'm running a trial license on ISE, so everything is unlocked for 120 days. But after 120 days, if I want to continue to use this, I have to purchase a license. But I just wanted to show you how to configure 802.1x on the Ubuntu machine, and this is using PEEP and MSChap v2. Okay, so I hope this was informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.